Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there.
Jalen Hurts is worth a real discussion now as far as who is he. So when I talked to you today, did I do the Peyton Manning thing with you?
No.
Okay. All right, so people think I'm being unfair. I think people believe I'm being unfair to Jalen. But I'm going to talk about Peyton Manning for a second. Okay. Peyton Manning was the best player, was looked at as a no doubt NFL franchise quarterback in high school. Won the Gatorade Player of the Year. Every step of the way at Tennessee, they're like, that guy is going to be the number one pick. That guy's a franchise quarterback. As a rookie, even though he threw damn near 30 picks, everyone was like, yep, he's got it. Second year, he was 13-3, franchise quarterback. Third year, led the league in touchdowns and yards, franchise quarterback. Fourth year was the playoffs. He's 6-10. Touchdowns are down. Interceptions way back up. Did anyone in that moment say to themselves, oh, I think he's that guy versus who he'd been every step of the way up to it? No. Everyone's like, weird year, but I'm sure he'll be okay. Right? That was what people thought. Maybe they questioned him in the playoffs or whatever. I don't even think that had really started yet. They were like, that guy is a franchise quarterback. Okay. What's the opposite of that? A guy who was a tweener coming out of high school. It's like, we'll see. At college, is he we'll see. At a second college, and when we're talking about, is he a franchise quarterback? We'll see. In the draft, second, third rounder. As a rookie, kind of a tweener. As a second-year player, kind of a tweener. Third year, holy shit, this guy's awesome. He's in the Super Bowl dropping dimes. As a fourth-year player, I don't know. Well, so now it's like, okay, if when a guy has a body of work of 7 years of amateur and pro ball, of being a clear-cut going to be a franchise quarterback in one bad year, we don't say he's the bad version of himself. If a guy's got 6 years of body of work of, I'm not sure if that's an NFL quarterback. And 1 year where you know he is, does that then make you pause for a moment? It does for me. It does for me a little bit. And so it's not that I think Jalen is like a bad player or was the biggest problem with Philly. But I do think it is fair to question, will we look at 10 years into his career as last season as not only the best season he ever had, but an outlier, as a year that he was not able to recapture. And if you're an Eagles fan, that's scary because they paid him based on that's going to be the standard, not the Super Bowl every year, but that's going to be the standard.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder sometimes if we don't give. So Marino had Shula. Brady mostly had Josh McDaniels.
Yep.
Be it quarterback or offensive coordinator, there's two things you have to get right in the NFL. Pittsburgh can't get either right, and they have a good head coach. Quarterback and OC. Because most offensive coaches don't call their own plays. So Pittsburgh can't get either of those right. They get everything else on the roster right, the culture, the toughness, the pass right, everything. Quarterback, they haven't had a good OC since Arians in 2011, and a good quarterback OC combined since that year. So do we ever consider, we know quarterbacks are more important than coaches and coordinators. But it is interesting when you start inspecting the great quarterbacks, like the great actors, they mostly work with the same writer or director. Bradley Cooper, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks. They're like, yeah, I'm going to stick with that guy.
Sure.
You start looking at Aikman. You start looking at Fouts. You start looking, I'm talking legends. You start going through all these quarterbacks. Mahomes has always had Reed. That's his guru. That's his muse. You start looking at Jalen Hurts, and it's like, well, Lincoln Riley and Shane Steichen, briefly. Outside of that, like even the great ones, even Mahomes without Andy Reid, if he had a defensive, like right now, CJ Stroud's tearing it up, but he has a very good OC.
He's got, and that guy's going to leave.
Right.
And that makes you worried.
It does. No, I'm not. And I think CJ throws a beautiful, effortless ball. But it is interesting that we all know we give quarterback 70-30 edge over coach. But I think if you went back and traced the top 30 quarterbacks of all time, and mostly now, they generally have a muse. They have a singular guy that sees the world like they do.
And obviously, probably the most famous, Montana and Walsh. And this is sneaky, an argument of that the best is yet to come for Josh Allen. Because he had it briefly in Dable.
Yeah.
And you saw the best of him. And then Dable left. And now, and even right now, it kind of feels like they're just having Josh Allen run with a governor on it. It's like we don't know how to get the 300-yard passing game without the turnovers. So we're asking for 200 yards passing, 75 yards, you kicking everybody's ass running, and just don't turn the ball over. It's a weird – and that's – go ahead.
His weapons are better this year. I mean, James Cook, the kid from Boise State 2 years ago. So to your point, it is less about Allen now, but some of that's Dable. I am not saying – it's like I've had 20 producers in my life, radio and TV, but I have probably my best one ever now. My show's always been better when I have my best one, but I've had a fine career. And they're like you, Wilds and Broussard, it's just perfect chemistry. If one left, the show would still succeed. But there is a time in everyone's life when you have the perfect team.
Perfect team, and you can feel it. And so, you
can feel it.
And so this is like sneaky an argument that is kind of an argument as to why it's so tough for defensive coaches to be the best hire you can make. Because like D'Amico, I think looks awesome. And I think that was a great hire. I think it's inarguable. But then what happens is, and we've talked to this before, your quarterback is going to be on an offensive coordinator conveyor belt. Right. Because if you get a great one, he eventually leaves you. Yeah. If you get the wrong one, you have to replace him. Like I forgot, Seth Payne, who played in the NFL for the Jags and the Texans, does radio in Houston. He tweeted not that long ago because he still covers the Texans now about everyone in Houston's sad Bobby Slowick might get a job. And he's like, the dream is that your offensive coordinator that is great with your quarterback gets a job. If he gets a job, that he flames out so spectacularly.
He comes back.
He can never get another one. Because that's what Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels' thing in Denver was so bad, Brady got him for another decade before the Raiders took a chance on him. In a weird way, that's kind of what's happened with Spags on the defensive side in Kansas City.
That's right.
Spags' tenure as a head coach was so unfortunate that it's like, okay, I'm a lifetime D coordinator. And Andy's like, yep, I'm never going to have to worry about that side of the ball. And so it's because you're trying to like nurture these quarterbacks like Joe Burrow, they're talking about the Callahan guy, Brian Callahan. I forget what his first name is.
Bill Callahan.
Bill, I don't know if it's Bill or Brian. One was a father, one's a son. I assume everyone in the NFL is related.
Bill's the old guy, the O-line.
Yeah, coach. Brian's the that he's getting head coaching jobs. So is Joe Burrow going to have to learn either a new system or is it going to be? So that's tough.
Well,
even when you have the offensive coach, like when Bieniemy left Kansas City, there's been some growing pains for Patrick.
Yeah, ideally you want an offensive coach. You can win with a defensive coach, but you're going to go through offensive coordinators regularly. So D'Amico's winning, but they're going to have to hire a new OC within a year. What you want is McVay, who has the ability, as he changes an OC, to kind of step in and kind of tweak it very quickly, because these defensive coaches, Belichick, Brady laughed at Belichick. He didn't even know the language of offense, and he's been a football guy for 50 years. So it is, I think Houston's fine, and I think CJ Stroud will be fine.